Sometimes it's about working smarter and not harder. I did encourage you in my last video about how to get fully booked in 2025 to switch your mindset a little bit when it comes to what it means to be fully booked. What I've realized is how can we fully maximize the time that we are spending working on clients, because that is really where you could see the income change and still maintain a balanced lifestyle and schedule as an entrepreneur and solo esthetician. And I do find that having more of that balance will keep you healthier, happier, and more fulfilled doing what we do. And that is what our clients need. They need us to be happy, fulfilled, and not worrying and stressing about the money. So I'm going to be sharing with you my top finance tips for estheticians in 2025 that I've been learning over the last few years as a solo esthetician and small business owner, that I do feel like is the reason why I've been able to make 6 figures and growing much more in the future. So be sure to grab your pen and paper, and please watch to the very end, because seriously, there's just going to be such great information in this video and you're not going to want to miss it. Before we talk about maximizing your earnings, I'm going to make a big disclaimer as usual that I am not a financial expert. I'm not an accountant or a tax accountant. None of that. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. Whatever resonates with you, great. Whatever doesn't, leave it alone. And always consult with your professional that you are working with that can evaluate your finances for your specific situation. All right, let's get into these tips. So tip number 1 is to price your services strategically. And I do go more into depth with this in my Going Solo series that I created for you guys. If you're starting your business, it's going to walk you through how to open up from A to Z and just make it way easier for you and hopefully help you make less mistakes than I did when I first started. You want to evaluate this on an annual basis. Prices are changing, the cost of goods are going up, and so you do want to evaluate this on a regular basis. Now, what I want you to do too is to check your profitability from 2024. This is a great time of the year to do it because we just started the new year, and so it'd be a good time to go and fork through your finances to see how much you really truly were profiting from your services. Now, my general rule of thumb is to profit at least 50%. Now, does that mean it has to be just 50%? Of course not. You're a business owner. You can price your services however high or low that you feel is appropriate for you. I would encourage you to make at least 50% profit. Again, we go more into depth than that in my Going Solo series of how to price and things to consider. But this past year, this is what I did. I went and looked at each service and I calculated the cost of literally everything from the Q-tip to the cotton round to the product, and you can actually request a price breakdown sheet from your brand and they will give you most likely a breakdown of how much a pump of the cleanser costs or 1 serving of the chemical peel costs. So get down to the very specifics of how much you are spending on that specific service, as well as including your overhead costs. So things like your rent, your subscription fees, like how much you're spending on Wi-Fi, like everything. Just break it down to that very hour or however long you're working on that client and come up with a dollar amount. And then you should be at the least doubling that number to create as your pricing for your service. Say you are priced, at least where you're making that profit. It seems to be bringing people in, but now I have an excess of people wanting to come see me. Now that's when I feel like it would be appropriate to raise your prices. I typically recommend no more than a 5 or 10% increase. That's what I've done over the last 4 years, just because I don't want to shock my clients who have been coming to me and been loyal to me and then all of a sudden raise their prices significantly. It could sadly deter some people away. And you would want to give your clients at least a 30-day notice. You can either post about it on your social platform, or you can create a little cute flyer, or just tell them verbally and just give them a couple of solid reasons as to why you are increasing your pricing. It could be because you received a special training this past year, or you invested in new branding. I mean, it could be a list of things, and it could just simply be that products are costing a little bit more. Those are all valid reasons to increase your pricing, and that you are in higher demand at this point. I mean, you don't have to tell your client that, but you know that you are in higher demand if you're starting to get fully booked and you're accumulating a wait list. That's also another reason why I think it'd be appropriate to raise your pricing. The next tip I have for you is going to be how to increase that profit even more, focusing on high margin services. So I mentioned to you in my last video that I have add-ons as part of my services. So things like dermaplaning. I mean, honestly, I upgrade for pretty much every single thing that's not included in like a standard facial. You guys know, if your SD's watching this, what a standard facial should include. That's what I think your base price should start at. I like making the analogy of when you go to the nail salon, because when you go in, you know you're probably going to spend about $50 just on the pedicure. At least that's how much it is here in California. And then they ask you, okay, do you want gel? Sure. Okay, so that's another $20. Then do you want the callus remover and the foot scrub? Sure. Okay, that's another $10. And then if you get a design or you get French tip or whatever it is, that's an added charge. So by the time you're walking out of there, you're spending maybe $100. So I think everybody kind of expects that when you go into a beauty establishment, that most likely your service provider is going to be trying to upgrade you in some way. Truthfully, these upgrades are going to improve the results of the service. And that's how I explain it to my client is I'm like, this added enzyme is going to be giving you a deeper exfoliation, and it's just going to allow you to leave here with more brighter and hydrated and better skin, and it's just going to maximize the time that we have together. Kind of tied with add-ons, upselling your services. So I do charge a little bit more for dermaplaning, and I charge a bit more for the hydrodermabrasion, like things that I had to go and take a specific course for or spend a bit more money on that machine. And so I do price those a bit higher than the other just kind of regular enhancements. So like buying the Zemitz machine, we're going to be having a 2-hour service option, because we've had a few clients who are like, I wish I could be here longer. And I was already thinking like 80 minutes was long enough, but no. Some people want to be here all day probably if they could, but 2 hours I felt was appropriate, because the hydrodermabrasion machine comes with so many different tools and enhancements with it that I would try to squeeze some into an 80-minute, and there's just no way that I can do dermaplaning and hydroderm in one service, along with all the other steps that we have to do. So buying something like the Zemitz First Stand HD, which use my code if you want a discount, could be a really smart move, again, to maximize your profitability, because again, you're not really necessarily getting more clients, but you're just adding another service that, one, will increase the amount of time you can do the service because there's just more tools to use, and it's something different, something exciting. And I do feel like people got really fired up when I introduced the Zemitz machine, and I do plan on doing some more videos for you guys and having hopefully some more resources and trainings for you to learn how to use it even better. And then there's also seasonal and series of things that you can offer. So a perfect example was our chemical peel series that we did and are still doing currently. Did we necessarily have to get more clients? No, but it was one of our highest earning months was in November. We just really pushed this series from SkinScript. It encourages clients to commit to coming multiple times. So we would have our clients pre-booking their next 2 to 3 appointments for these series. And that just ensured that throughout the holidays, our loyal ones were going to be coming in because they were pre-booking and pre-paying their deposits for those appointments. And they were investing in the kits. We saw a lot more commitment this holiday season than we ever have before just by pushing a series. And so when it comes to seasonal stuff too, you know, SkinScript again is really awesome for doing those like really yummy type services, like the chocolate cherry facial that's coming up for Valentine's Day. That was a big hit for us a couple years ago when we pushed that. We're going to be offering a couple different things this Valentine's season, but just take advantage of all these different seasons that are coming up. And these could also be ways where you could upgrade clients to spend a little more than they normally spend, because it's like a seasonal type of service. It works. It totally works. My next tip for you is going to be retail. I know that kind of seems like, well, duh, Kristen, but I'm going to be honest with you. When I first started my business, I didn't carry retail right away. And I kind of wish I did, because my very first facial I had, she was like, well, what do you recommend for my skin? And I was like, well, I recommend this, this, and this, but I don't currently have that. The most money that I spend every month is typically on product and retail. So it is an investment, but typically when you're selling retail, you are profiting at least 50% on that product. Most of the time when you sign up for a pro account, you're getting 50% off of the retail products. My rule of thumb is to double that price that you're paying to the brand, and then adding, of course, your sales tax to that. Can it be higher than that? Sure, but I feel like you should try to keep it as fair as possible. You guys, I have done this myself. I've seen this over and over again. I'll be at Sephora and people are dropping $300-$400 on products that are just whatever. Do not put it past anybody to drop an extra $300 to $400 on new skincare. It happens all the time here with us. I will say myself and Kristen are really good at selling retail. I think probably it's just been from previous experience. And I know sales can be a little scary to some of you guys, but I want you to flip your mindset to love selling product, because selling retail is to help somebody get better results. And it will get them better results. And you have to truthfully believe that from within. And you have to sell products that you are using on your skin, and you have to sell products that you really believe in, so that when you're talking to the client about this, it's really coming from a genuine place and it doesn't feel forced or salesy. There's a little bit of an art, of course, but if you go ahead and watch my video that I made a long time ago about how to sell retail to your clients, go ahead and check that out. Again, that can already increase your profit 2-3 times in what you were expecting in a single service. You lead that sale. So if you're excited and pumped about a product, your client will be pumped too. Alrighty, hopefully you're still with me. If you are, give this video a thumbs up if you're enjoying it so far. Join this community, and let's dive into the next tip. So my next tip is to open a business account, savings account specifically. I'm not going to get too into depth because we could go on and on and on about this topic, and I will be giving you some books at the very end of this video that I recommend that you read if you want more detailed information about stuff like this. But generally, having 2 accounts, you kind of like almost forget about it. I personally opened up an account with Charles Schwab because of a couple things. They allow you to do automatic transfers. It allows you to open up a few different sub-saving categories in one account so that you can set up an automatic transfer from your main account to this account. Better for you to just not see the money after you transfer it over there, because then you're less tempted to touch it. And I feel like now I'm finally feeling a bit more confident when it comes to being disciplined with money. And when it comes to opening up your business, you may be like me, where you grew up not having super nice things, and I was raised by a single father. We did not have fancy clothes. We did not have designer stuff. We did not have a big fancy house. Growing up, I always knew that I really wanted nice things for myself. And so when I started to make 6 figures as an esthetician, I was like, I've never seen this kind of money coming into my bank account before. And yeah, you might get a little carried away. And I'm not saying I regret any of my purchases, but were there things that maybe could have waited a little longer, or that maybe I could have put that money toward improving, my business more, or hiring, there's just so many other things, like when you become a business owner, that you're going to have to invest in, maybe not immediately, but now being almost 5 years in my business, I'm seeing, wow, I'm going to have money to like hire someone to do this, or I need to replace this, or I need to upgrade this, or pay for a continuing education class. Like, there's so many things that just will pop up in your career as a solo esthetician that you're going to want to have that money for. And I am glad that when I was living with my grandmother at the time, one of the many sacrifices I had to make when I first started because of my situation and circumstances, I was very diligent about putting money away, and I'm so glad that I did. And even though I still got to like splurge on some things, like I'm really glad that I didn't just go and buy like the car that I wanted, you know, because trust me, I drive a Honda Civic right now. And it's paid off. I just paid it off last year, and I just feel so good to not have that car payment. But I remember being tempted at one point, like, to buy myself like a nicer car. You do kind of have to think about things and think ahead as well, and have a balance to what you're going to allow yourself to splurge on and also invest into the future. So I highly encourage you that, yes, get excited about making a lot of money, but I do believe that when you're responsible with little, you will be given more. So if the universe gives you $100 and you're really good about putting $10 away in savings and $5 away for your retirement and $5 for your business savings and maybe some for your kids, it goes in the right places, and then you know can pay yourself as well. It's gonna give you more. So you're good with $100, you're gonna get 1,000, and the next time you'll get 100,000. It just works like that. I'm telling you, just being where I'm at, I know that because I've shown the universe I'm responsible, I've been given more. And do I feel like I could have more if maybe I would have been a little bit more responsible the last couple years? Like, I'm sure I would have. So now I'm really taking a back seat and saying, okay, where can I tighten up a little bit? Not to deprive myself, but just to think ahead, because we are self-employed, and you do have to realize that we have to be a bit more disciplined, because we don't have our employer taking out money for us. We don't have the government taking out taxes for us from our paychecks. And I know, like, you're wondering probably, like, why does this tie into what we're talking about, like maximizing profit and stuff? Well, again, if you're responsible with little, the universe will give you more. So if you want more, take care of what you have, take care of the clients you have, and you'll receive more, inevitably. But I did just have a chat with my new accountant today, and she's awesome. I am going to be more formally introducing her soon, but if you already are interested in chatting with her about doing your taxes, or you need someone to kind of look at your finances with a fine-tooth comb, fine-tooth comb. Her name is Jasmine, and I met her through a friend of mine, and I just love supporting other women entrepreneurs. She's very intelligent and is just a boss too. So I'll be putting her information in this video and down in the description, and please, please, please let her know that I referred you. We are about to hit tax season, which is why I made this video, because I think this is the time of the year where we start to think a lot more about finances. And another way to really maximize your profits is to make sure you're maximizing the amount of write-offs that you're doing for your business. It's just going to lessen the amount of money that you owe the government at the end of the year, and that ultimately will put money back into your pocket without, again, you having to gain clientele necessarily. It's just about, again, being smarter, not working harder. It's just looking at everything and saying, okay, am I paying too much in taxes? Like, is there other expenses that I could be writing off that I just haven't been? And again, if you talk to a tax professional, they should be able to help you to maximize as much as you can. And I do believe when you're better at tracking your expenses, you again are attracting more wealth to come your way. Thank you so much for getting to the end of the video. The last thing I'm going to leave you off with is, as you know, I'm really into your mindset, and I really do believe that when you improve your relationship with money and the beliefs you have about money, more is just going to come your way. So some of the books that I really dove into this past year were the following. One of the books I read was called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. That one really helped challenge, I think, just like our whole generation's idea of money management and what's considered successful and what you should do in life. Like, it just really challenges you to think outside of the box when it comes to your financial decisions and how you manage your money. And he just gave really good practical steps in that book to achieve more financial, like, prosperity and saving for retirement, and more about investing. I just loved that book. So please pick that up if you are trying to get more money smart. And then the other book that I just started, but I feel like is a good recommendation, is The Automated Millionaire. Now, I know when I first heard that title, I was like, does that mean you're going to help me be a millionaire? Well, yeah, of course, that's the goal. But it's a bit more than that. He talks a lot about automation and how we are as humans and how we manage money naturally and how budgets don't work, and automating things really can make almost anybody rich. So please read that book. And the other book that I actually picked up again that I had read when I first started my business was called You're a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero, and it's hitting the same way that it did almost 5 years ago now, and it just put a fire in me, and it just made things make sense. Like, she really, again, gives you action steps at the end of each chapter, journal prompts of just challenging like your belief system with money, and just puts it in terminology. I mean, listen to the title, You're a Badass. Like, she talks like a normal person in that book, and it's just so much more relatable. And yeah, I just feel like after I read that book, every time I just feel fired up. And I encourage you to like reread some of those books, maybe if you've already read it and you're like, oh, I've already read it, read it again. Same with my videos. If you've watched all my videos, but you're still trying to gain clientele and grow your business and make more money, watch my videos again. I love re-listening to books and podcasts over and over and over again to really have the information sink in. And again, I'm not just saying that for the views, but it's just because it just becomes part of your subconscious. And that I've really had to take a look at within myself of like, what have my beliefs been about money growing up? And that's what all those books really challenge you to do, is to dig a little deeper. Because again, like I mentioned before, money was just not talked about in my household, and I just was never taught anything about money management, even in school. You know, I feel like they should add some of that into our school systems. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to educate yourself. And so hats off to you for watching this video all the way through and wanting to grow, wanting to get a little uncomfortable, because I do know sometimes we put our finances like under the rug because we just don't want to look at it and we don't want to deal with it. But the more you face it head on and you create a loving and fruitful relationship with money, it's just going to give back to you tenfold. So my boyfriend right now is money and he's not let me down. And I think as long as I have send him good energy and take care of him, he's gonna take care of me back. And so far he hasn't let me down. I can't believe I'm talking about money in a third tense, but anyways, thank you again for watching this video. Comment below if any of these points really resonated with you. Share this video with somebody that you feel like would benefit from it, and be sure to join this community. And I will see you back here for another one very, very soon. I love you so much. Bye.